I no longer care about Marvel, not even the movies. I mean, I don't care about most of their media, comics, superheroes, or anything related to it. I just don't care. And honestly, I'm probably making this video as a way to put an end to this conversation with myself, almost like a funeral for something I once loved. I guess a love letter to the person I used to be, the one fascinated by designs of incredible superheroes and the stories that brought him so much joy. But the truth is, at this point, I don't even know what the latest Marvel movies or series are, because I've completely lost interest. That said, I was never a huge Marvel fan to begin with. I didn't read the comics, and I wasn't someone constantly searching for the latest releases. My earliest memories of Marvel were Spider-Man, I think the 90s animated series, as well as the X-Men. Both of these shows were massive hits in their time, but they still mostly belong to the world of kids. Spider-Man was one of the highest rated shows on Fox Kids, and while it had a strong following, it didn't necessarily cross over into mainstream adult pop culture. The same could be said for X-Men, the animated series, which arguably had an even bigger impact. It played a major role in influencing the 2000s live-action movie. It also helped push superhero cartoons toward more mature themes, but at the end of the day, it was still seen as a kids' show. Sure, toy sales were huge. Both series had entire waves of action figures that flew off the shelves, but Marvel as a brand hadn't yet achieved their cultural dominance. Those were probably my biggest interest as a kid. I never had access to comics growing up. It wasn't until I was about 20 that I finally got my hands on some Spider-Man and X-Men comics. At that point, I could see there was something there, something compelling. But my real second interaction with Marvel came with the Spider-Man movies by Sam Raimi in the 2000s. I gotta say, that trilogy blew me away. Seeing a superhero brought to life like that was incredible. It felt real, unlike anything I had ever seen before. These movies weren't just popular, they were a phenomenon. Spider-Man shattered box office records, becoming the first movie to ever cross 100 million in a single weekend. It ended up making over 825 million worldwide, proving of course that superhero films could be more than just niche blockbusters. By the time Spider-Man 3 was released, the hype was at its peak. Sure, it had its flaws, but even those flaws ended up contributing to internet culture, like with Bully Maguire or the Human Spider YouTube channel.
Tired of your brain rot, Pete.
Listen to me. I didn't listen your father. He was trying to listen me. He listened himself. Shut up!
And for sure, there were X-Men movies as well. Looking back, they had plenty of flaws in their adaptations, but since I hadn't read the comics religiously, they still worked for me as entertainment. But all of this is just nostalgic rambling because at this point, Marvel has become something completely different, and yet all those early movies, animated series, and comics led to something honestly remarkable. They built the foundation for an unprecedented cinematic run, delivering some of the most visually stunning and ambitious sci-fi blockbusters we've ever seen. Now, people love to debate whether Marvel movies are real cinema or just mass market entertainment.
When Scorsese came out and he said, I don't think these superhero movies are cinema, I kind of felt like, oh, that's kind of an elitist attitude. I mean, Scorsese's certainly one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. I worship the guy's movies, but I mean, it is cinema.
Again, it's like, he's an old man. You think Scorsese's going to be into Ant-Man versus the Wasp?
Why not?
But he's not going to be.
But honestly, I really don't care. The truth is, they were fun. They did what they set out to do, and they resonated with millions. And I was one of those people. I was completely invested, analyzing post-credit scenes, theorizing with friends, getting hyped for what came next, and Avengers Endgame was the peak of all that. I still remember sitting in the theater watching that moment when Captain America stood alone, only for all the heroes to appear behind him. It was mind-blowing. I had grown up watching Spider-Man from Raimi's trilogy, and now I was witnessing something on an unimaginable scale. Between Iron Man and Avengers Endgame, Marvel Studios produced 23 interconnected films. These weren't just movies, they were events. Endgame grossed $2.79 billion worldwide, temporarily dethroning Avatar as the highest grossing film ever. And it wasn't just Endgame. Infinity War also broke records along with Black Panther, which became a cultural landmark and the first superhero film nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. What's even wilder is how these films dominated movie attendance. The MCU pushed cult classics and long-time box office kings down the rankings, placing multiple films in the all-time top 10 highest-grossing movies. Whether you like it or not, it was a defining moment in modern blockbuster cinema. But after that, nothing. A void. Ever since Endgame, Marvel has been chasing that high, pushing out more and more content, yet failing to recapture the magic. Honestly, from a storytelling perspective, Endgame should have been the actual ending. Now, whenever I see a new Marvel movie or series advertised, I don't feel like it belongs to the same universe that gave us those incredible moments. I don't even know what hooked me in the first place. Maybe it was years of build-up that made Infinity War and Endgame feel earned, and after that, fatigue. Marvel took years developing characters we connected with, only to suddenly flood us with an overwhelming number of new ones, many of whom feel rushed, disconnected, or driven more by external agendas than organic storytelling. And sure, fans don't always know what they want, but I knew the characters we had before. I don't know these new ones. And there are so many that keeping up feels impossible. Instead of a clear, engaging narrative, everything feels fractured and unfocused. And then there are the TV shows. So many of them, all supposedly part of the same universe. It's become ridiculous. Even characters I once loved like Daredevil don't excite me anymore because I've been so out of the loop for years. To be fair, the pandemic in 2020 did change the way movies were released. Productions were delayed and streaming became the default for new content, but even before COVID-19, Marvel was already on a downward trajectory. The massive success of Endgame wasn't something they could realistically replicate, and instead of slowing down to recalibrate, they just kept churning out more projects, expecting the same results. The problem is, those results were mostly residual hype from the previous films. The real decline had already begun. It just wasn't obvious yet. And when things really started to slow down, what did Marvel do? They played their biggest nostalgia card, Spider-Man No Way Home. Bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield alongside Tom Holland was the perfect way to reignite interest, and it worked. People showed up in droves. It made almost 2 billion worldwide, proving that audiences still cared, but mostly because of what the movie represented, a callback to past eras that people loved. It wasn't about moving forward, it was about revisiting the past. So after all these thoughts, I've noticed a growing trend of videos trying to fix Marvel. Everyone seems to be looking for a solution, asking, how can we bring Marvel back? How do we undo the last few years and recapture the magic of Endgame and the films that felt truly special? But I don't think there is a fix. The most reasonable thing might be just turn the page and say goodbye to Marvel as we knew it, because honestly, I believe the magic is gone. Those days aren't coming back unless something fundamentally changes. And even then, striking gold again feels nearly impossible. And let's not even get started on how, in today's world, the overwhelming flood of political agendas from all sides has made it nearly unavoidable for any entertainment project to exist without being tinted in some way. One thing I've noticed is that whenever a single genre dominates the industry for too long, we start seeing a flood of similar entries. The same directors begin circulating within that space, producing films that feel almost interchangeable, even in genres that have nothing to do with the one currently in power. And the problem is, at least right now, this formula isn't working. Take the Russo brothers, for example. Despite their massive success with Marvel, they haven't been able to replicate that magic outside of the franchise, even while using the same approach. Their 2022 Netflix film, The Gray Man, received mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, which gave it a 45% approval rating. Another recent project, The Electric State, is already facing skepticism due to the Russo brothers' recent track record. Even bringing back directors like Sam Raimi for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness didn't hit the mark. Despite grossing $955.8 million worldwide, it's nothing compared to any of his Spider-Man trilogy films when adjusted for inflation, of course. On the flip side, Deadpool has been a breath of fresh air. By embracing its R rating and breaking the fourth wall, it offers something different. The film's success showed that audiences are craving innovation, not just the same recycled formulas. This highlights an important point. It's time to take risks, to experiment, to stop chasing the next guaranteed money machine.
Guaranteed!
course, when Hollywood does find its next cash cow, they will milk it dry, just like they did with superheroes. But for filmmakers, studios, and creatives in general, now is the perfect moment to break away from that formula and try something new. More than anything, it's time to let creativity flourish again. A bold, unexpected idea could become the next Iron Man, the next cultural phenomenon that redefines an era of cinema. Marvel became such an overpowering industry that it overshadowed countless of films and ideas that might have had a chance to shine. Maybe now is the time to step back, break away from the formula, and let a new genre take the spotlight. As for me, slowly my interest in Marvel has faded to the point where I just don't care. I don't know where this is all headed, and honestly, I don't think I want to. God damn it!